Hey, this is T. Rhodes, eSFL Commissioner. Overview of Week 11, 2020. Got some big games this week. We'll go over them. This year we're going 13 weeks instead of 12, so that adds a little intrigue to it. I don't like it personally because you either have a winning record or a losing record unless there's a tie. Because at 13, of course, you got to have 7 and 6 or 6 and 7. So I don't really like that. I like teams being able to be at 500. I've been there a lot of times. Better than being 6 and 7. Let's look at this week's games. Egama, Sweaty Palms, and Manning face huge game for both teams. Egama's in first place in the Vintage Eastern, 4 and 6. Manning faces 4 and 6. They're tied. Egama's up on the top of the order there for tiebreakers. The loser of this game is eliminated from the division title. They're still in the blackjack hunt. The winner has to win out because they're both 4 and 6. You have to have a record of 500 or better. So Egama needs to win out. Manning Face needs to win out. The loser of this game can't win the division. Big game. Creams, Destroyers, and D Crown Holders. D Crown Holders also in that same Vintage Eastern as Egama and Manning Face. D Crown Holders 3 and 7. They cannot win this division. They're in good shape for a blackjack at 1645, which puts them right up there. Winning or losing doesn't matter to them anymore in the regular season. They just need to put up points. Creams from the Vintage Western, same situation. 3 and 7 in the blackjack hunt with 1668. Cannot be a division winner. This is the defending champions. They've had an up and down season. They're a team that you should watch out for. They could still win this thing. They might go 3 and 10 and win a championship. Possible. Creams, they're looking for points. They're in the hunt. They're like first or second place for that. We'll go over that in a minute. Big game there. RJ Griffins and Wally's Texas Stars. This is another big week for both teams. Wally's is in first place in the Vintage Central and in the driver's seat, to be honest with you. He's 6 and 4, 2 and 1 in the division. He doesn't have to win this week. He doesn't have, they don't have no must-win situation going on. RJ's is 4 and 6, must win out to win the division. Very possible. On the other hand, RJ is leading the Vintage Conference with points. So they're in the lead by a substantial amount, I may add. About 140 points or something, from my just looking at it. I haven't used a calculator on it. We'll do that later in the year as we get into the final weeks. But he's got 1806. Everybody's in the mid-1600s. So if RJ does not win out and win the Vintage Central, he will most likely, unless he has a catastrophe for the last 3 weeks here, he will likely be a blackjack. Wally's not must win this week. He's in good position up there. He just needs to win one more game to get to that 7. He's at 6 and 4. He needs to get to that 7. Give him a good chance. The runners there are in that 5 and 5, a game behind him, but their points and their victory points are so far behind him, it's highly unlikely he can make it up. It's 12 for Wally, 7 for Rhodes. If this comes to a tiebreaker, but 7 and 6, both teams make 7 and 6, Wally's is going to win that tiebreaker more than likely. Cav and Rhodes. This is the out-of-conference matchup here. Cav, 4 and 6 in the Nebula Central. 2 games behind the Billy Cats, in deep trouble. Pretty much has to win out to win in this division. However, his points field is right there, so he's in the hunt for a blackjack. He's at 1701. Just by skimming it, it looks like he's about second place. He's way behind Pardue, though, who's at 1897. So what he needs to happen is the Billy Cats to lose out, be 2 blackjacks in this conference. Right now, Pardue has the big lead in the blackjack. We'll go at Pardue in a minute, but right now it doesn't look like Cav could win a blackjack unless there's 2 blackjack teams. Okay, so this, as far as this game goes, Rhodes needs a win. If Rhodes does not win this game, he cannot win his. Well, he could. He could still win out the last 2 or 3 and go 7 and 6. If Rhodes loses this game and Wally's wins this week, Rhodes is pretty much eliminated as far as winning hit the Vintage Central. Because as I just said, the tiebreaker situation. He probably won't make up those victory points. It's possible, but it probably won't happen. He has to have some huge weeks, while he has to have some poor weeks. Rhodes, with a loss, it's not done here for him. He's really looking for points, though. From here on out, he really wants points, and he'd like to win games, but it's not It's not the big deal. He wants points, and a lot of them. 180s, 170s, stuff like that. Frost at the Texan Bruisers. Okay, so this is down in the Vintage Western. Frost is 5-5. He's 3 out, and he's 3 out from the Texan Bruisers, who's 8-2. Of course, if Texan Bruisers win this week, they have clinched the Vintage Western. Pretty much as we sit, they have this clinched. They'd have to have a catastrophe. They would have to just totally tank the rest of the year and not to lock this division up. At 8-2, with the victory points, with the points fielded, I can't see Texan Bruisers not in. So really, for them, a loss is not really that big of a deal. That'd put them at 8-3. Frost will be 6-5. Frost needs to go 8-5. Bruisers need to be 8-5. Then we get into the tiebreakers. Both would have the same division record at 2-2, if that happened. So then we'd go to victory points. It's 15-10 now. It's a make-upable. Frost could make that up. So Frost is still in this, can win this division, must win out. Bruisers must lose out, and we'll see what happens from there. So this is a big week. Texans can clinch with a win. Purdue and Purdue. This is up in the Nebula. Purdue, as I just mentioned earlier, easily way ahead in the blackjack. Cannot see him not making blackjack, but things can happen. He's at almost 1,900 points. Closest to him is 1,700s. It'd be a big failure if he didn't make it. He's at 6-4 also. He could end up 9-4, and Purdue could end up 8-5. Purdue's still alive in this. He needs to win. With a win for Purdue this week, if Purdue wins this week, he will clinch this division. A loss, he'll have Purdue on his ass back 1 game with 2 to go. Big week there. Zima and Psycho. Zima Ruskies and Psycho Billy Cats, Nebula Central. Zima cannot win a division. He's 3-7. His points field is 1605. He's really way out in blackjack. Needs miracles to get in blackjack. So pretty much he's done, but not totally. Psycho somehow is leading this division with 6 wins and the least amount of points in the league. He's 6-4 with 1,500 points scored. It's not even really close. No, everybody else is 1,800. So he's had a really fortunate season, to say the least. 6-4. With a win, he'll go 7-4 and clinch this division. The best Cav could end up is 7-6. With if he wins out, Cav could go 7-6. Psycho would go 7-6. Psycho holds the head-to-head tiebreaker, 2-0. With a win this week for Psycho, they clinch because they have swept the season series with Cav 2-0. So they'd be 7-6. The best Cav can finish is 7-6. Psycho holds the tiebreaker head-to-head. Psycho is 3-0 in the division as well. So a win this week for Psycho clinches. Oh, how close it can get. However, he could lose out, finish 6-7. Cav could win out, finish 7-6, and win the division. So that's still up for grabs there. With the way Psycho's played, he could lose out. With the way he's been lucky, he could win this week and be 7-6 and get a clinch. Houston Rams and Houday Nation. Houston Rams, 6 in the Nebula Western, both teams. Houston Rams are 6-4, tied with the Fields Fanatics 6-4. Hold the tiebreaker, however, head-to-head. They're ahead of the Fields in the tiebreaker here in the Nebula Western. Houday cannot win this division. They're already at 3-7. As we keep saying, best they can get 6-7. Can't win a division with that. Houday, 16-26 for points. As we discussed with Purdue, if he doesn't win the division, he's going to get the blackjack, more than likely. Houday's got a big hill to climb to get blackjack. But we'll go over that as the season goes. But Houday's in really bad condition here. He's probably sitting with Zima and in the same situation and probably not in. Probably the chances are really low. Fields and Houston battling for that. Houston needs a win to get to that 7. They need to win to either stay tied with Fields or to take a 1-game lead on them with 2 to go. So, big game for the Rams. Not a must-win, by no means, but a big game. Big week. And finally, Orange Crush and Fields Fanatics. Orange Crush 6-4 in the Nebula Eastern. They're behind Purdue, who's 8-2, who we talked about. Orange Crush can win this division. Win out, put them at 9-4. Win out, and they can win this division. This Nebula Eastern is a tight division. Any one of these three teams could win it. Purdue is led wire to wire. He's 8-2. But do not be surprised if Purdue or the Crush win this division. It's still highly possible. Very tight. That's the games this week. That's the insider this week. I'd like to remind everybody, pay those fees, those transaction fees. If you don't pay, you don't play in the postseason. Playoffs, Gunner Cup, Showdown, none of it. And I'm not going to be sending no reminders. December 10th deadline. So get them in. If you don't know how to do it, text me, email me. Good luck to everybody. Week 11.